Namaskar. Welcome to this series on Bhagavad Geeta Overview. Today we shall overview the Adhyayas 12, 13 and 14 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhi Tamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The 10th Adhyaya was Vibhuti Yoga, where Bhagavan shows his Ishwaratva, his divine manifestations, and shows the main ones at some selected places. And then in the 11th Adhyaya goes on to show his own manifestation as Vishwarupa, as the cosmic form, how he lives, how he manifests in this entire universe. And though we know now, Arjuna also knows, we know that God is everywhere. All that energy that we see comes from the Lord. But why can't I see or perceive that Lord? And for that we need devotion towards the Lord. And this devotion is now the next part from the 12th Adhyaya. Again, Bhagavan is talking, it's the 12th Adhyaya is the Bhakti Yoga. And we can start devoting to the Lord from Saguna Bhakti with the wishing towards a form. And that's why we devote to the Avatar Swarupa, the incarnate Lord. And then we can gradually go to other areas. We can evolve our vision of the Ishwar, of the divinity, from not just from the idol to form, to seeing everywhere in the universe, starting from Vibhuti to Vishwarupa, entire cosmos, and then finally everywhere omnipresent. So this is the crux of the beginning of the 12th Adhyaya, which is devoted to Bhakti Yoga. It's a very beautiful, very short, very sweet Adhyaya. And it is a very well-known Adhyaya because many of the devotees, they have this by heart. They can chant it without looking at the shlokas. It helps me to connect with the Lord, Bhakti, and God's grace is on everyone. Samanya Krupa of the Lord Ishvara is on everyone. That's why we've got this human life where we can obtain a lot of things, we can possess, we can, achieve a lot of things. And the Vishesh Krupa is on the Bhakta, on the ones that God has a special attention. And this is only possible by that devotional bhakti. We can connect to the Lord, become one with the Lord, see His grace everywhere, that whatever happens to us. So the last sloka of the 11th Adhyaya, which was a Vishwarupa Darshana, Bhagavan showed his Vishwarupa, and then he, again dissolved the Vishwarupa and came back into his Chaturbhuta Swarupa, and then told Arjuna that this is only possible by Ananya Bhakti. There is no other way to achieve me, to attain me. And what is that Ananya Bhakti? In the last sloka of Bhagavan says the steps of this journey. That devotee will attain me who does Karma Yoga, who is a Gnana Parayana, who has Nishtha, who becomes my Bhakta, Mad Bhaktaha, Sangavarjitaha, and does all this without any attachments. Raga-dvesha are all our attachments, and devoid of any animosity, any dislike, any hatred towards any beings. Dvesha, without raga-dvesha, this is the person who is eligible for attaining the Lord. And now we start the Bhakti Yoga. Now, we all want eternal happiness, which is not temporary, which is permanent. We want freedom from all our limitations, and that is our goal. And that is what is called in Vedanta as moksha. It's complete freedom or liberation. And there are three mukhya sadhana. One, first and the foremost, as shown in the Gita Ji, is Karma Yoga, which is a path of action, how to do karma with an internal attitude so that we attain Antakarana Shuddhi, purity of our mind. Second is Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion, which is being talked about in these Adhyayas, where not just purity, but even focus, concentration, Mana Chanchalta, Mana Vikshep is also taken care. And finally, the path is the path of knowledge, where we can understand what is divinity and how are we connected to that divinity. It removes all our ajnana, our ignorance, and helps us to achieve that permanent, that final goal that Upanishadas and scriptures talk about. And this devotion is a must for our seeker to connect to a Lord, which makes us humble, more understanding, more compassionate, so that we can see the divinity everywhere, which we cannot see anywhere. And the eligibility, the beauty of our Shastras is that according to our own eligibility, we can choose our sadhana, Some people are more inclined, attached, and engrossed in karma actions. For them, karma yoga is the best way. They don't have vairagya. They are all involved in karma. Most of us are involved in karma right from morning till evening. For the people who are vairagya from these worldly attachments, for them, they have the capacity to give up, yaga, let go. And they don't have so much of importance in this world. Mahatva buddhi, jisko kehte hain, bahut kam hai. And that's why they are more inclined and more eligible for Jnana Yoga sadhana. Whereas those who are in between the two, they don't have too many desires, but they don't have complete vairagya also. And these are the people who are eligible for Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti essentially is done with our Indriya, Mana and Buddhi. These are our three main sadhana to do Bhakti. Sadhana means the means to do Bhakti. Indriya is the one which gets all the information from the outside world. We see, we listen, and it's a very important part of ours. Mana, mind, is the one that is the seat of our emotions, and we have to, focus this towards the Lord. And the intellect, which helps us to take our decisions of our life using the right path, choosing the right path. And all these actions and all our relations, all of our mind should be connected with the divine. And this can happen only if we reduce our attachments to the world. And this will lead to ultimately freedom, self-reliance, peace of mind, and fearlessness. And of course, there is no shortcut to this spiritual journey. It requires constant and continuous efforts from us. So let's start the 12th Adhyaya. The first shloka is the Arjuna's question to Lord Shree Krishna. It's Arjuna uvacha evam satata yuktaye bhaktastvam paryupasate ye chapyaksharam avyaktam tesham ke yoga vittamaha. So Arjuna asks Shree Krishna, please tell me which path is better. I've heard that there are two paths of devotion. One is called the Saguna Bhakti or Saguna Upasana, and the second is the Nirguna Upasana. Saguna Upasana means when we devote to the form of the Lord in some form, either an idol worship or some form, then it is a Saguna Upasana. But Lord has many, many forms. His eternal, his real self is the Nirguna, Nirupadik, Brahma Swarupa. And if we devote to that Nirguna Swarupa, then that is called the Nirguna Upasana, which Bhagavan says, Chap Akshara Avyakta. Avyakta means unmanifest, which cannot be seen. And Akshara means it is indestructible, it is changeless. And that is the Nirguna Swarupa of the Lord. Bhagavan, Arjuna asks, who is the Yoga Vitta? Who is the real knowledge knower of the Yoga sadhana? Which one is better? Please tell me. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Maya Veshya Mano Ye Mam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetaha Te Me Yukta Tamamataha. So Bhagavan answers, he doesn't tell Arjuna that Sagun is better or Nirgun is better. He says, one who keeps his or her mind completely in me, Mano Veshya, Maya Veshya Mano Yema, Nitya Yukta, constantly is Upasate, means devoted to me, Upasana karte hai meri, with Shraddhaya Parayopetaha, means one who has utmost faith in me. Those people, Te Me Yukta Tamamataha, I consider them as the most suitable devotees. And he tells them, in other words, he's trying to tell Arjuna that Saguna Sadhana, Saguna Upasana is a much more safer alternative. Just like when he said, Arjuna asked in the 5th Adhyaya whether Karma Yoga is better or Karma Sannyas is better. Bhagavan has said the same thing, Karma Yoga Vishishyate. Karma Yoga is a safer and an alternative method. No doubt, Sannyas is a much suitable path for attaining the divine, but Karma Yoga is where most of us are eligible for. Here also, Bhagavan is trying to tell the same thing to Arjuna, that Saguna Upasana is the one where most of us are eligible for. Most of us cannot go to the Nirguna Upasana. And then the third shloka, Bhagavan describes what is the Nirguna-Tatva. What is that changeless, eternal Tattva? He says Aksharam. Aksharam means it is changeless, Anirdeshyam. It cannot be shown by words or senses. Avyaktam. It is unmanifest, cannot be seen. It is Sarvatragam, it is omnipresent, it is vast everywhere. Achintyam, cannot be described by mind, cannot be thought, cannot be imagined. Kutastha, it is changeless. And Achalam, it is immovable. And it is Dhruvam, it is eternal, it is always there. That is the Nirguna-Tatva Bhagavan is describing, because that's the highest goal for the mankind to reach there. And that's why first it describes this Nirguna-Tatva, and the next shloka, it describes the devotee who can attain this Nirguna-Tatva. We need three characteristics or attributes. to attain this Nirguna-Tatva. One, Bhagavan says, Sanyamyandra Grama, means all our Indriya Grama, all our senses must be Sanyaman, must be under control. Indriya Sanyam is a very, very important step. Bhagavan has described this in many, many Adhyayas. And Sarvatra Samabuddhaya, where we have a Samabuddhi, Samata, equipoised, everywhere our mana is all under control. And Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha, one who pursues good for all the other beings, Nishkam, Karma, and then Ahimsa, non-violence, Sharira, we have a control over our body, then that person, Te Prapnuvanti Mameva, he is eligible to attain me and to become one with me. And now Bhagavan says that why Nirguna Upasana is more difficult than Saguna Upasana. He says, Kleshodhika tarastesham. This is very difficult, this path of Nirguna Sadhana Upasana. Why? Avyakta Sakta Chetasam. One is because it is formless, it is Nirguna, it is unmanifest, it cannot be seen. And Avyakta hi gatir dukkham. It is very difficult. There are a lot of pain, misery, dukkha on this Dehavat Viravapyate. Because we are all attached with our bodies, with our forms. And that's why, because we are so strongly identified with our body, it's very difficult to see the Nirguna-Tatva and to devote to that Nirguna-Tatva. And that's why Bhagavan says we should start with the Saguna Upasana. That's why he says the first step, Bhagavan tells Arjuna, is to do Karma Yoga. He says, Mai Sarvani Karmani, Mai Sannyasa. You offer, you surrender all your actions to me, Arjuna. He says, Ishwararpana Bhavana, Karma Yoga. One of the facets of Karma Yoga Upasana is taking refuge, Matpara. You come to my shelter, come to my surrender. He says, Ananya Naiva Yogena, and do my bhakti devotion with one pointed devotion. Mam Dhyayanta Upasana, contemplate on me and devote to me. Bhagavan is telling Arjuna that only then you will be eligible for further any benefits. And for those who devote to the Lord like this with Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, what does God do for them? Bhagavan tells him, Arjuna, that Tesha Maham Samuddharta Mrityu Sansara Sagara, that I deliver them from this ocean of life and death. I give them moksha, I give them complete liberation. Nachirat Path. Immediately, the moment you know this knowledge, you know that this is oneness everywhere, and then you get this freedom. And knowing our immortal self is the only way to attain immortality. There is no way, because we have got this body is going to die one day. But that Atma Swarupa, if we know that is completely eternal, it is Adhyaya, it is immortal. And knowing that I am that Swarupa is the only way to attain this immortality. And what is the highest goal of a devotee? Bhagavan now gives in the next 4 shlokas, it talks to Arjuna and tells him how to do my devotion. The highest goal he shows is, Mayeva mana adhatsva. Put your mind in me. Always with your mind think about me all the time. And that's what Bhagavan tells Arjuna. Mai buddhim niveshaya. And put your intellect also in me. All the decisions that you take with your buddhi, take it based on, my priority. Nivasishyasi mayeva. You shall live in me only ata urdhvam na sanshaya. There is no doubt about this. What I am telling you is the correct thing. And Bhagavan is asking for everything, our mind, our intellect. That is essentially our identity. He wants us to lose our identity and merge with the infinite identity of this Lord, this Brahma Tattva. But the 2 biggest obstacles on this path are our attachments, mamata. Our mind is the seat of all these emotions, mamata, attachments through which we operate, and that creates lots of problems in our day-to-day life. And the second is ego, ahanta, aham. I am doing something, I am this, I am that, I have done so much. This ahamta is the seat, is the intellect, and these are the main 2 problems. And that's why Bhagavan wants that we should devote all our mind and our intellect to the Lord, transfer all our attachments and our ego from these worldly objects, worldly people and relations and all the possessions that I have towards the divinity. That is the yatra, or that is the journey. Now Arjuna must have thought, Bhagavan, this is very difficult. Man, buddhi, aap dono maang rahe. How can I give you completely that I don't think of anything else, I don't do anything else all the time, I have so many other work? Maybe. And Bhagavan tells him, okay, if you are not capable, athachittam samadhatum, if you are not capable of controlling your mind, Arjuna, and steadying your mind into myself or divinity, abhyasa yogena tato, then you do repeated study, repeated practice and study mamichhaptum dhanujaya, and desire to attain me. If you do this ichha, definitely you will attain me. And then Arjuna must have thought that this is also very difficult. How can I do all the time study abhyasa? And then Bhagavan says, abhyasapya asamarthosi. If you cannot even do a lot of repeated study abhyasa, then he says, matkarma paramo bhava. You do all your actions for me. You surrender all your actions towards me. Madarpamapi karmani kurvan siddhim avapsasi. You will achieve the immediate, the highest goal, the success of your life if you do this way. And finally, it says, even if you cannot do this, not capable, you are not even capable of surrendering your actions to me, then sarva karma phalatyagam, then renounce all the fruits of action. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, sarva karma phalatyaga is a very good thing. That is also part of karma yoga. Yatatah kuru yatatmavan, control over your mind. Whatever you get by doing everything, just accept it like a prasada buddhi, karma phalatyaga. Don't have a lot of, constantly have a focus on karma phala. Accept whatever comes to you. Just do your best. Focused on your efforts. That is what Bhagavan is telling Arjuna. And he praises karma phala tyaga, renunciation of the fruits of action. In the next shloka, he says that knowledge is better than repeated abhyasa practice. Dhyana is better than knowledge or understanding. And he says karma phala tyaga is the best. It is better than even dhyana. Why? He says because tyaga shanti anantaram. Because only tyaga gives us complete peace, eternal bliss, happiness is only got by tyaga. We have to learn to see how letting go gives us a lot of peace. We always feel that, accepting or possessing or achieving things gives us peace, but does not give us peace. It only creates more and more problems, creates more and more desires. Actually, letting go of things, letting go of a lot of attachments gives rise to a lot of lasting peace. So summarizing, mind and intellect, Bhagavan says, give it to me. If you cannot do that, abhyasa, do repeated practice of your spiritual sadhana. If you can't do this, just do karma, offer all your actions to me. And even if you can't do this, then you renounce karma phala and tyaga. Let go of all the karma phala to me. And how karma phala tyaga is, why is it best of all? Bhagavan says, because it gives instant peace. By letting go, you have instant peace. This is something that we need to experience in our life, and then we can understand. In the next 7 shlokas, Bhagavan is talking about the 33 different attributes of a Gnani Bhakta, the wise devotees, attributes of a Gnani Bhakta. And these devotees who have, after spiritual knowledge, they gain the Atma Jnana, they become, what are the way they live, what are their attributes, their characteristics. For the enlightened, wise people, these attributes come very naturally, they are sahaja. But for people like us who are seekers on this path, we have to do constant practice and efforts with self-awareness, with introspection. Constantly, we have to learn this and imbibe this in our life. This requires a lot of efforts, prayatna. And this serves as the ideal or the lamppost or the goals for us for introspection in the journey of the seeker. So this Sadgun Sampatti, as we call it, has been described in many adhyayas. In the 12th adhyaya, Bhagavan is describing the wise, the Gnani Bhakta. In the 13th Adhyaya, Bhagavan is describing the seeker, the Jignasu, his characteristics, Sadgun Sampatti. And in the 14th Adhyaya, Bhagavan is describing the Triguna-Atita, Devi Sampatti. So at several places, Bhagavan describes many Sadgun Sampattis. And these are goals where we need to improve our life one step at a time, slowly and steadily. And this we have to pursue with positive attitude, keep trying, because change happens very slowly. Shanai Uparamed, Bhagavan says, that every change happens very slowly. It is not easy to change our old habits, but definitely it is possible, and this requires repeated practice, abhyasa, lot of awareness, lot of contemplation to make this possible. So let us start with this Gnani Bhakta Lakshana, Adhyeshta Sarva Bhutana, no dislike or hatred for anyone. We should see everyone as the same, not having a lot of discriminations. Maitra, befriend everyone, try to help people as much as we can. Karuna evacha, have compassion for everyone, for all the beings, not just for our own family members or close and near and dear ones, but for all the beings and all the species. Nirbhama, having unattachment in all our actions, possessions, people, objects, relationships. Nirahankara, having no pride for what we have achieved, what we are, what we have done. Samadukha, sukha, be equipoised in pain and in pleasure, not become very happy or related in pleasure, not getting very depressed in pain. Shama means forgiveness to all, even of those who harm us. Santushta satatam, So every time this person is satisfied, Gnani Bhakta, Satatam Yogihi, and is constantly connected. Yatatma means who has self-control, and Dhrada Nishchaya means whose buddhi, there is a firm resolution. What is the ultimate goal of life? To achieve this divinity. Mayar Pitamana Buddhi. With this, if we surrender our mind and intellect to the divinity, Bhagavan says, Yomat Bhakta Samepriyaha, that such a Bhakta, such a devotee of mind is extremely dear to me. Jasman no dvijate loko. One who does not disturb others, one who is not disturbed by others. Somebody speaks something, I get affected, I get upset. I have no control over that person. Why should I get upset if somebody tells me anything? That kind of understanding we need to have. Harsha, Amarsha, Bhaya, Udvega, Mukta. One who is free from all this too much happiness, too much intolerance, fears, and all of our anxieties with the future. What will happen? What will happen? Someone is free from all this, then Bhagavan says that kind of a bhakta is very dear to me. Anapeksha. Anapeksha is who is devoid of apeksha, expectations, with understanding that it is expectation from the other person that gives rise to a lot of miseries. I become painful. That's not something that I need. Shuchihi, who is pure, auspicious, wants, cleanliness, likes cleanliness. Daksha, who is skillful in his skills, all the skills. Udasina, does not take sides, is neutral, does not have a lot of biases, attachments. And Gatavyatha, whose anguish is destroyed. Sarva Arambha Parityagi, who is given up all selfish actions. Such a devotee of mine, Bhagavan says, is very dear to me. Then he says, one who does not get to a harsha, raga-dvesha, one who does not shochati, does not grieve, does not have sorrow, does not have too much desires, has given up what is auspicious, unauspicious. Such a devotee is very dear to me. And says, one is same towards a friend, enemy, who is same, equipoised in mana, apamana, who is same in shita, ushna, in all these dvandvas, all the pairs of opposites like cold, heat, sama, dukkha, sukha, pain, pleasure, one who is free from attachments. This kind of a bhakta is very dear to me. Says, who is same in praise. Somebody praises me, I'm happy. Somebody censures me, I'm also, I don't get too upset. Mauni, disciplined in speech. Santushta, who is satisfied. Aniketa, who does not have some house of his own, does not, is unattached even to his own house. Sthiramati, whose knowledge is firm, and such a devotee is very beloved to me. In the final shloka, Bhagavan tells Arjuna that these are all these dharmyam, amrutam, idam, these values in life which are very important. They are related to dharma, what I should do, what I should not do. This helps us. And this is the only Devi Sampati which makes us eligible to attain this Atma Gnana, immortality, which will make us immortal. Yathoktam paripasata, whatever I have described, he says, and one who upholds this kind of value with a lot of faith, for whom I am the goal, for that kind of a person is very dear to me, this kind of person. And that's what Bhagavan is trying to tell us, that we should try and imbibe this Devi Sampatti in our life through constant introspection and get Satva Shuddhi. Only then we become eligible for this Atma Jnana. So to summarize the steps of spiritual devotion, Bhagavan says, if we have a Satva Guna, then the Upasana, there are different ways of Mansik Karma Upasana. One is Ekarupa Upasana, means devoting to just one. And this could be Nirgun, could be Sagun. Aneka Rupa Upasana, devoting to the Vishwarupa Swarupa of the Lord, and Arupa Upasana, Nirguna Upasana, where there is unmanifest Upasana. And for Rajoguni person, Karma Yoga is the best way to start. Karma Arpana to the Lord, Ishvara Arpana, Nimitta Matra Bhava, and Karma Phalatyaga. Let go of the fruits of actions with understanding that this all comes from the Lord. So how devotion leads to moksha, what is the connection we must understand. When devotion is all that we surrender to the Lord without any expectation, which lessens our pain, miseries, and the result is that we accept whatever comes to us in our life as complete acceptance, as prasada buddhi, and this gradually nullifies our raga-dvesha, which purifies our mind. So that is the first benefit. The second benefit is that it also improves our concentration, reduces the chanchalata, the unsteadiness of the mind, helps us focus. And these are the two benefits which makes us eligible to understand this Atma Gnana, helps us to focus, makes us quiet, calm, and then only Atma Gnana can lead to moksha. There is no other moksha without Gnana. So this is the link. Bhakti makes us eligible for Gnana, and Gnana is the only way we can achieve moksha. With this, we come to the end of the 12th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata iti Srimad Bhagavad Geeta Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Bhakti Yoga Nama Dvadashodhyaya. So 13th Adhyaya is about the Kshetra, Kshetragna, Vibhaga, Yoga. Describes the Kshetra with all its elements, modifications. The Kshetragna, which requires preparation of the mind. Kshetragna means the knower of the Kshetra. Kshetra means the field of all these activities and all these, the whatever we can see, Prakruti. And Bhagavan tells about the Devi Sampatti, Sadguna, 20 Sadgunas, moral values which are life-changing values. And these are important for maturity of our mind and intellect. And the right understanding, the right mindset, and the right actions, this will lead us to our harmonious personality, which is a must for assimilating this Atma Jnana. So the first shloka, Bhagavan starts, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Idam Shariram Kaunteya, Kshetramitya Vidhiyate, Etadhyo Vittitam Prahuhu, Kshetrajna Iti Tatvidaha. Bhagavan tells Arjuna, oh Arjuna, know that this body, idam shariram, kshetra, itya vidhiyate, it is kshetra, it is a field. We know that the Prakruti, the nature, everything is kshetra, it is a field of activities. But this body is also part of that kshetra. This is something we don't know, and that's why Bhagavan is telling Arjuna that you understand this first and know that etadyo vitti tam prahu. One who knows this, that is kshetrajna. One who is aware, one who knows that this is the body. One who says, yes, this is my body, is the Kshetrajna. Bhagavan says, one who knows both these elements truly have said this. So these 24 elements according to Sankhya Shastra is Idam, is Kshetra, it is Prakruti, even not just the Stula but even the Sukshma. So the 5 Panch Mahabhutas, the great elements, the Ahankar, Buddhi and Avyakta and the ego, mind, intellect and the Maya, Avyakta, the 10 Indriya, 5 Jnanendriyas, the 5 Karmendriyas, and the 5 objects of their senses, Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So all these together, 24 elements becomes the Prakruti, and that is what Bhagavan calls here the Kshetra. And then in the second shloka he says, Kshetrajnam chapi mam vitti sarva kshetreshu bharata kshetra kshetrajnayor jnanam yattaj jnanam matam mama. Bhagavan says that know me as the Kshetrajna of all. I am the knower of all. Kshetrajnam chapi mam vitti. Know that I am the Kshetrajna, I am the knower of everything. Bhagavan is Sarvajna. He knows everything. Ishvara. Sarva kshetreshu bharata. Oh Bharata, in all these bodies, all the species, everything, I am the knower. Kshetra kshetrajna yagnan. And this knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajna is the true knowledge that you need to understand. Bhagavan tells Arjuna. And then to understand this, we need to understand that Kshetra means idam. What can be seen, what can be experienced, what can be felt, all the jagata, and it also includes sharira. And Kshetrajna is the knower of this, is aham. I am the knower of this, one who knows this field, one who knows the Kshetra. And that Kshetrajna is our Atma Swarupa. And Bhagavan says that as Atma Swarupa, I am there as everyone. So I am that. And that itself is aham brahmasmi. That is the Mahavakya of the Upanishada. So these 2 shlokas tell us about the Upanishada Mahavakya Uddesha, that the Atma and Paramatma is one and the same. Jeeva and Ishvara is one and the same. I am that complete Purnamada, Purnamidam, complete unlimited self. And this is not the Aparavidya of the knowledge of the world, but this is what Bhagavan is talking about, is the Paravidya. It is knowledge of the real self, our own, which is worth knowing in this life. Then Bhagavan start talking about the Kshetra now. He describes the Kshetra. He says the true nature of the Kshetra with all its vikara, modifications and its origin. And its energy, its prabhava. I'm going to describe to you. Please hear from me in brief. And he tells Arjuna, please listen carefully. This is important. He says, this has been said previously. I'm not the first person to say. Rishis have talked about this. The Vedas have talked about this. Bhagavan says the Brahma Sutra also has described this with Hetu Madhir Vinishchite. By logic, it has been firmly decided. It is not that this is some kind of imagination. Bhagavan says all this has been already said before. For your own understanding, I'm telling you again, shows his humility. And it describes the Kshetra, all the 24 elements, the 5 great elements, Mahabhutani, Ahankara, Buddhi, Avyakta, the Indriyani, Dashekama, and Panchachendriya Gocharaha. All the 5 objects, all these are the Kshetra. He says even include all these Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukha, Dukha. All these are the modifications of Kshetra, Prakruti, all our Sukha, Dukha, all the Sukshma Sharira. and that sanghata, collectively as we call it the body-mind complex, Chetana, our antakaran vritti, through which we attain this knowledge of the outer world, which is the pratibimba or the gnana, Truti, our ability to bear or self-confidence, and all this I am describing you with the Kshetra, Savikara with all its modifications. Understand that this is Kshetra. Now, before going into Kshetrajna, understanding, Bhagavan describes the Sadguna Sampatti, the moral life values. In 4 shlokas, he describes 20 Sadguna Sampattis, which are essential for us to understand the Kshetrajna or the knower of this. He starts with Amanitvam Adambitvam Ahimsa Kshantirarjavam Acharyopasanam Shaucham Stairyamatma Vinigraha. Amanitvam, absence of desire for respect. We all have a lot of desire that people should respect me. Why somebody is not respecting me? But Bhagavan says you should not have any desire for respect from others. Adambitvam, absence of hypocrisy. Quite often we say something in front of others, in absence of others we say something, but in front of others we don't say that the same thing. And this is a kind of a hypocrisy in our mind. Why? We think something, we say something, we speak something, we do something. All this is hypocrisy. Bhagavan does not like all this. Ahimsa, non-violence. Shanti, forgiveness. Arjavam, simplicity, just being straightforward in life. Acharya Upasanam Shaucham, taking shelter of the Guru to learn the scriptures with purity. And Stairyam, steadfastness, commitment to our goal, and with mind control, Atma Vinigraha. Indriyartheshu Vairagya. So dispassion from all these objects of the senses. Our senses keep going everywhere, try to get the knowledge of the objects. And Vairagya, get back the senses from this dispassion of the senses is Vairagya. Anahankara, lack of false pride for our own self. Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. These are our main fears in our life: the birth, the death, the old age, and the disease. And if we can let go of this, nothing like it. To see that pain and follies repeatedly in the Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, Dukkha Doshan Darshanam, Bhagavan says, that is itself a big Devi Sampatti. Asakti Anabhishwangaha. Asakti means lack of attachment. Anabhishwangaha means lack of too much of affection towards Putra Dara Gruhadishu, towards our children, spouse, and our home. Nityam cha samachittatvam, keeping the mind in balance in all the likes and dislikes. And then for the serious seeker who wishes to progress on the spiritual path, having a one-point devotion, bhakti, constantly connected to the Lord, to remain in an isolated place, to do some meditation, dhyana, japa, and arati jarasansadi, to avoid large get-togethers for people who are serious on this path. And finally, one can go to the main steps of the spiritual journey, which is also called the Gnana Sadhana, Adhyatma Jnana Nitvatvam, pursuing the study of self-knowledge by regular basis, by Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, listen to a guru, doing self-contemplation, introspection, and doing some meditation, Nididhyasana, Tattva Gnanartha Darshanam, keeping the benefit of this knowledge. And these values are itself real knowledge. Bhagavan says everything else is ajnana, is ignorance. And then Bhagavan pledges Arjuna that what is the Atma Gnan? Now I'm going to tell you that self-knowledge, now that you are eligible to understand the self-knowledge, after giving all this Devi Sampati, says, I shall tell you very clearly, after knowing which you shall attain immortality, and that Brahma is no beginning, it is the highest of all, Param Brahma, it is imperishable, and it says, which cannot be called is, it is neither Sat nor Asat, it is neither cannot be said, nor it is not there, because I can perceive it, I can feel it, it is definitely there, but because I cannot see it, I cannot say it is not there. So this is how Brahman is described in our Upanishadas. Now Bhagavan starts describing that Brahma Tattva, the Atma Tattva, the Chaitanya Tattva, as it is described in the Upanishadas. He says, Sarvata Pani Padam Tata, all the feet and hands belong to him, everywhere they are. Sarvata Kshishuru Mukham, the face faces all the sides. Sarvata Shrutimata, the ears are everywhere, and it is pervading everywhere. Everything is pervaded by this Brahma Tattva. It describes Brahman with his contradictory words. It illuminates all the attributes of the senses, Indriya, but it is devoid of Indriya. It is devoid of all the senses. Similarly, it is unattached to all beings, but still it is the Dharanhar. It illuminates, or it carries all the beings, and it is devoid of three guns, but it is the knower of all the three guns. So this is how the Brahman is described by contradictory words in the Upanishadas, and he says it is neither inside nor outside, it is both. It is within as well it is outside. It pervades all the living as well as the non-living beings. It is not known as it is very, very sukshmatvat tadavignyam, and it is very far and it is very near. That is how Brahman is described even in Ishavasya Upanishada, tadejati, tannejati, taddure, tadvantike. It is far for the people who cannot understand. It is very close to the people who really understand this tattva. So this is how we have to understand this tattva. And it is one. It is seen as divided in several bodies. We see it everywhere, differentiations, but it is just one. And it appears divided. But same is worth knowing. It is a nurturer of all. It is the destruction. It is a creation. All this is the form of that one divinity, Vishnu, Brahma, Mahesh. And everything, God is a creator, sustainer and destroyer of this universe, but he is abhinna as one, nimitta and upadana karana. And then he says it is the jyoti shamapi, jyoti. It is the light of all the luminous objects, and it illuminates even ajnana. It is swaprakasha, it is paraprakasha, it also illuminates. We also in sushupti, when in deep sleep, we know that yes, I had a wonderful sleep, and I am now, I wake up when I remember that I had a good sleep, because there was no indriya, there was no buddhi. There was nothing there, but still I knew that there was something which was there which gave me that knowledge that I had a wonderful sleep and today I am now waking up. So that is how it illuminates the ajnana also. And this Bhagavan says these virtues, this Atma Tattva and the fruits of knowing it, the moksha, all these things are engraved inside in the heart. Vidhi sarvasya vishtitam. So that's why spiritual journey is an inner journey. We have to go inside to understand this and do a lot of introspection also. Now Bhagavan is saying that this is so far I have told you about Kshetra, Kshetrajna, and my devotee who knows this correctly attains my undivided self, and there is no doubt about it. Now the same thing Bhagavan is going to tell in a Prakruti Purusha Viveka as he has done in the 7th Adhyaya. He is showing. Now he says, now listen to this, Prakruti and Purusha also have no beginning, and both have no beginning. All the modification attributes are from the Prakruti. So Prakruti is very similar to Kshetra. And Purusha is very similar to Kshetrajna. But Bhagavan is using different words to show us. And there are several methods used in Upanishadas to do this Atma, Anatma Viveka. Drashya Viveka, Jada, Chetana Viveka, Prakruti, Purusha Viveka, Kshetra, Kshetrajna Viveka. The problem is because it is both mixed to one. And that's why we don't clearly know what is Atma, what is Anatma. And this is not just at the individual level, but even it is at the Samashti universal level. And that's why the solution is, in our Shastra, it is called Viveka. Viveka is a very intellectual discrimination between what is what and what is what. What is Atma, what is Anatma. Clearly we have to differentiate, and that is the way we can understand. So Bhagavan is now telling Arjuna that all these actions, karya, karana, kartrutve, all this doership, karana, all the sadhana, to do all the action, everything is all part of Prakruti. It is the kshetra of the Prakruti that is the cause. Whereas sukha, dukkha, that feeling, that bhoga as we do it, and that is all because of the Purusha, he said. And how the Purusha and Prakruti gets mixed, how the delusion happens, as Vedanta tells us, that Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya, the Jagat is an illusion, but it's all Brahma. How we can see this? Because it says Purusha, when it is in close proximity with Prakruti, it enjoys all the gunas and thinks that I am the enjoyer. In reality, he is not the enjoyer, it is the body which enjoys. But the Purusha feels that I am the enjoyer, and that's why by this false identification, this illusion arises. And that is the reason for all the birth of the Jeevas in Sat, Asat, Yoni, in good or not so good species. And then Bhagavan describes the real self, one who is one with the divinity. He says that real self is Upadrashta, is the observer, is a Sakshi, who is Anumanta, permits everything, is a sustainer, is a knower, and Paramatma iti uktaha. Atma is the same as Paramatma who resides in this body only. And that is what we need to understand. Whoever knows this Purusha and Prakruti with all its gunas, he says, will not be born again. And what are the ways to attain this divinity? Bhagavan says either dhyana, meditation is one, others pursue the gnana yoga, gnana sadhana, and others pursue the karma sadhana. And some even pursue the listening to the wise, that is called samarpan yoga. We surrender to some guru and listen to these scriptures, and even this way we can attain the moksha. Even then we can cross this ocean of life and death. But we have to listen with faith and commitment. That is what Bhagavan tells us. So this creation is born from the communion of the Kshetra, Kshetrajna, And whatever comes into existence is because of this union of the seer and the seen, the Kshetra, Kshetrajna. And the vision of the wise is that he sees this oneness behind all these differentiations as a changeless in all the changing bodies, who sees this one vision. Ishavasya Idam Sarvam, that is what Ishavasya Upanishad, the first shloka says, everything is pervaded by the Lord, and this is a vision that I need to have. And what is the benefit of seeing the same Brahma Tattva everywhere? It does not hurt anyone, because we see the oneness in everything, and that person becomes eligible to attain the highest path. And this wise person, he is in the Karta Swarupa of the Atman, does know clearly that I am not the Karta Swarupa, that all this karma happens in the Prakruti Kshetra, I am the Atma, I am the Karta Swarupa. And one who knows this in reality, Bhagavan says, that person knows that Atma is Brahma, that within this Atma, who sees that Atma behind everything, and that same Atma pervades everywhere as the same Adhisthana of everything, and then he attains the Brahma. And this is what is the ultimate goal that we need to develop. So this journey is an inner journey. Paramatma is without beginning, devoid of gunas, lives in the body, does not do anything, akarta swarupa asanga. And Bhagavan then gives two examples of the akasha, that is the space, how Atma is unattached, even though it lives with us, it is unattached, just like the clouds are there, but they are unattached to the sky or the space. So many things are there in the space. Similarly, Atma is unattached. Then how it illuminates everything. Bhagavan gives an example of the sun, how the sun illuminates the complete world, just one sun. Similarly, one Kshetrajna also illuminates all these different Kshetra. And this is possible only by attainment of the Lord, by knowing this Kshetra, Kshetrajna. One who knows this with the Gnana Chakshusha, means that wisdom eyes, when opens up, the Gnana Chakshu, and then one is relieved from all this bondage of the nature and will attain the highest self, the Param Paramatma, will achieve that own self. And that is what is a journey from Adhikari, eligibility, to Tyaga, Viveka, Gnana Chakshu, Atma Tattva Gnana, and then getting one with the divinity. So we come to the end of the 13th Adhyaya. Om Tat Sata Iti Srimad Bhagavad Geeta Upanishadsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Kshetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yogo Nama Trayodashodhyaya. So now let's look at the 14th Adhyaya. 14th Adhyaya is called the Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So that means that understanding the three gunas, the Traigunya, the communion yoga means communicating or communion with the God, connection with the Lord, or with the understanding of the distinction of the three gunas. And this is the description of the Jeeva Swarupa, because we are all comprising of Satva, Rajas and Tamas guna. Entire Srushti, the Jagata, everything comprises the Satva, Rajas, Tamas guna, because the Maya, from where all the Prakruti and the Jivas are created, also comprises of these three guna. That's why it is called the Trigunaatmika Maya. And this creation is the communion of Prakruti and Purusha, as has been said in the 13th Adhyaya. And the attachment to all these three gunas is the main cause for our bondage. And that's why Bhagavan wants us to get liberated from this bondage. We must understand the three gunas. Only then we can come from Rajas to Tamas to Sattva Guna, and from Sattva Guna we can liberate ourselves. And that's why Bhagavan describes each of the gunas, how it binds. How do I know which guna I have predominantly, and what is my onward journey by each guna is predominant? If I am Rajas in my outlook, then what will be my onward journey? And then how finally I can transcend the three gunas. Bhagavan talks about the Triguna-Atita Lakshana, one who has transcended these three gunas, that wise person, what are his characteristics, what are his attributes, Bhagavan describes in the 14th Adhyaya. So let's start the 14th Adhyaya. Starts with Bhagavan's own opening shloka. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Param Bhuya Pravakshyami Gnananam Gnanamuttamam Yajgnatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhimito Gataha. Bhagavan says, I am going to tell you, Arjuna, that highest knowledge again, by knowing which all the munis have attained that highest state, that Para Siddhi, liberated from all the sorrow rooted in ignorance. And this is the Paravidya that Bhagavan is talking about. He says, this, what is obtained by this, attained by this self-knowledge, that independent, fearless state. To take my shelter, Bhagavan says, with this knowledge, They have achieved my eternal form, and what is the benefit? They don't need to take birth. Sargena apina jayante. They don't have to take birth in this sarga, in this world, and they are not miserable at the end of the world. When pralaya happens, they are not miserable. They don't have dukkha at the end of this world. And now Bhagavan is again describing the Prakruti, and he says in a different way, he says, my Prakruti is like a great womb. He says, Mahad Yoni, Mama Yoni Mahad Brahma. He says, I plant the seeds of creation in the Prakruti, in the womb. And who Arjuna, all these beings, they come into existence, they are born from this. And that's why Bhagavan is trying to tell us that nature is the universal mother, and that is how we worship nature as the universal mother. Prithvi, even our land, we consider as our mother. We say Bharat Mata, and we consider God as our Pita. God is our universal father. The same thing Bhagavan is telling here in this shloka. He says, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavanti. All these beings are created from all the wombs. Know that Prakruti is that great womb. It's a mother. And Aham Bija Prada Pitaha. I am that seed who is planted as a father. I'm the father. We are all sons of the same Lord. We are all sons of the same God. And that is how there is no discrimination within us. And then Bhagavan is talking now starting the three gunas, that it is the attachment to these three gunas is the cause for our bondage. Why we are bound to this world? Why are we not liberated? Bhagavan says Satva, Rajas and Tamas are the three gunas which are rising from the Prakruti Sambhavaha. Because we are all product of Prakruti, and Prakruti itself has those three gunas, so we are also comprising of those three gunas. They bind this eternal soul that lives in the body, which is indestructible. In reality, the soul is not bound, it is free, but it does not know that because it gets attached to this body, and then it is bound to these three gunas and thinks that these are my three gunas. So now Bhagavan is starting to describe the Satva guna, how Satva guna binds. Bhagavan says, Tatra Sattvam Nirmalatva. It is very pure, it is Nirmal, Satva guna. It is Prakashakam Anamayam. It is very knowledgeable. When we have knowledge, it is illuminates, it is healthy, it is without any amaya. Amaya means disease. There is no disease. It is a very pure Sattva guna. Sukha Sangena Padnati. It binds by Sukha, happiness. It creates a lot of happiness. We feel good about doing good things, helping others, and then it binds us. That is how we have a desire again to do those same things. And Jnana Sangena. Even by knowledge, a lot of knowledge, we have a lot of pride, a lot of ego, that I know so much, I am so wise. This is a knowledge, pride that I have because of the Sattva guna. So this is how Sattva guna binds, one by happiness and second by knowledge. And what about Raja guna? Bhagavan says, Raja ragatmakam vidhi. It creates kind of a colors our vision, raga, by attachment to desires. Krishna sanga samudbhavam, all attachments, all desires, incessant desires, achieving something, this, that, the other. This is how Rajoguna works. And karma sanganan binds us by our attachments to actions. Because there is desire, we want to do something to achieve that desire or fulfill that desire. And that is how we all are into actions or doing things. And that is how Rajaguna works. The tamas, how does it work? It arises out of ajnana jamriti. Know that it arises from ignorance. Bhagavan says, and deludes mohanam sarvadehina. All the beings are deluded because of tamas. It gives us a kind of illusion, optical view, or false vision, pramad alasya nidravihi, and it leads us into negligence, laziness, and excessive sleep. The joy that we get from all these things, that is how it binds the people. That is the tamas gun. And again, Bhagavan summarizes each gun. So it says Sattva gun binds us to happiness, joy. Rajas into action, inspires, and tamas hides our knowledge and inspires us into pramad, carelessness or negligence. Something what we need to do, we don't do. And how do we know which gun is active? What are the interplay of these three gunas? Sattva works by suppressing the rajas and the tamas. So the more we elevate the sattva guna, the rajas and the tamas gets suppressed. Similarly, rajas works by suppressing the sattva and the tamas. So the more we work in the rajas gun and fulfill the rajas gun, the sattva and the tamas will get suppressed. And if we are more lazy, negligent about our duties, then this tamas will get activated, and that will suppress the sattva and the rajas guna. So this is how the interplay of the three gunas work. And how do I know that sattva is active currently? When the five senses in the body are involved in knowledge. When I want to know something, I have desire to know something, that knowledge is a calm mind where that means that Sattva guna is on the rise. When do I know that Rajas is active? When there is a greed, there is a need or the inspirity or to do all actions. When the mind is not steady, it is chanchala, lots of desires, and there is a lot of attachment to all this. This is the Rajas gun. And Tamas gun is active when we know, when the mind is clouded, we don't know what is the right thing to do. It is all confusion. Body becomes lazy, and then there is dereliction from duty. I don't know what is the right thing to do, and undue attachment hampers our discrimination. So Bhagavan is talking about these three gunas, the Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, because the entire world is made up of these three gunatmika jagata, and these control our actions, our behaviors, makes our personality, which make us or break us. And that's why these three gunas are in the Prakruti, in the Jeeva, and they are the cause for all the actions. Guna guneshu vartanta, Bhagavan says, and it is the part of the Kshetra or the Prakruti, the Saguna, not the Atma or the Kshetrajna or the Purusha. This is not, the gunas don't belong here. And that's why we have to, and even our onward journey is based on these gunas. So we should try to elevate our Sattva guna in our life so that our onward journey becomes better. Now Bhagavan is describing our onward journey when Sattva guna becomes prominent. He says when Sattva is on the rise and the person dies, then he attains Taduttama Uttama Vidam Lokam Amalan Pratipadyate. He attains a higher loka where there is no amala. Amala means impurity. There is no amala. Mala is impurity. Amala is purity. Okay, so when the Rajas is on the rise and the person dies, what happens? Then he is attached to actions. Karma Sangi Sujayate, to the loka where there is action, that is a Martya loka. And when Tamas is on the rise, that person will attain the animal species, the Tamas yoga, or the Muda Yonisu will Jayate. So the message of Shree Krishna is that we should try to elevate ourselves from the Tamas gun to the Rajas gun, and then from Rajas to the Sattva gun. The first teaching is that we should make our lives sattvic. This is attempted all throughout our life so that Sattva gun becomes predominant at the time of death. And this is the main practice of spiritual journey, so that we get into the spiritual thoughts, the sattvic thoughts, the good ones, the good actions, sat vyavahar or sat achar, good behavior, sattvic food, sattvic reading, nam smarana, bhakti, devotion, sadguna, sampatti, and satsanga. So everything is sattvic. Everything gives us Gita, scriptures, all the Swadhyaya. And finally, after getting into the Sattva gun, the final message of Sri Krishna is to transcend these three gunas, to understand our eternal Atma Swarupa, which is Nirguna Swarupa. It does not have any gunas. And shows the fruits of these three gunas. Bhagavan shows that the fruits of good, auspicious Satkarma are sattvic, whereas the fruits of Raja karmas are miseries, it gives us dukkha, whereas the fruits of the Tamas actions are ignorance, ajnana. And it is grace of Bhagavan to repeat for our benefit that Sattva gun leads to knowledge, Sattvat Sanjayate Gnanam. It's only with Sattva gun that we can understand, have the divine knowledge. Without Sattva gun, we cannot understand this divinity, and that's why the Antakaran Shuddhi is considered to be the most important eligibility to understand is Atma Jnana. Rajasa creates a lot of greed, and Tamasa leads to carelessness, pramada, moha, carelessness, delusion, the root of which is ignorance of our Atma Swarupa. And our onward journey, again Bhagavan says that Sattvic people attain the higher lokas, Deva Loka, Swarga Loka, Brahma Loka, where the Rajasic people attain the world, this world of Manushya or Martya Loka, and those who are seated in Tamasic tendencies, they attain the lower Adhoyoni, Pashu, Pankhi, and all the other species of animals and birds. And the final journey is to transcend the three gunas. Bhagavan says, when the wise person sees that I am the Akarta Swarupa, I am not the Karta Swarupa, I am the Akarta, and this, all the Karta, Karma, everything is part of the Prakruti. He says he rises above these three gunas, and then he attains my highest self, because Bhagavan's real self is also Shuddha Atma Swarupa, Chaitanya Swarupa, Akarta Swarupa. It does not have all these attachment to three gunas. And that is the ultimate benefit of knowing our own self, when we understand that I am beyond these three gunas, which is the cause for all this body and birth and death, is relieved from all the miseries of the birth, death and old age, and attains the immortality, because we know our real self, which is immortal self, and that is how we attain immortality. And Guna Guneshu Vartanta, Bhagavan has already said before that Maya is responsible for these three gunas in the Jagat and in the Jeeva, and I am beyond this I am Chaitanya, Atma Swarupa, I am beyond the Maya, and that is what is Akarta Swarupa, that is what I need to understand. So firmly believe that this doership, I am not the Karta, I am the Akarta Swarupa, and that is the part of the sadhana, and that is the understanding we need, and that is what is given us to us by the Shastra, and the only knowledge can do this job, and that's why it is the knowledge only, Gnana, which can lead to this moksha, and then we have to understand this. Now Arjuna is asking Krishna that how can I understand who is this Gunatita, the somebody who has transcended his three gunas, he's become the wise person who has understood that he is the Atma Swarupa. How can I know that? So he asks three questions to Shree Krishna. He asks, what is that sign that I would know that this person has crossed the three gunas? What is his behavior, conduct, and how does one cross these three gunas? The answer to the first question, Bhagavan says that somebody who does not have raga-dvesha, he's become samatha, equipoised, then that person is beyond these three gunas, because it is these three gunas that attachment causes lot of raga, attachment, and dvesha, strong dislikes, anguish. And this is something which are the main problems, our strong conditioned choices, our stubborn attitudes, our obsession, our invalid insistence for particular things to do it in this way, this or that way. And this is what we have to get up over this, and we have to get out of this. And from Rajas, Tamas, we have to go to Satva, and then finally beyond the three gunas. The second question, what is his behavior or conduct? Bhagavan says he is equipoised, he is not affected. He is not affected by this drama of the gunas that the three gunas play. He is beyond this. He knows that he is the observer, he is a Sakshi Swarupa. Just like we go to a movie and see the movie and we know that this is just a movie, we don't get so upset or attached to those characters. Similarly, that person he knows that he is a Sakshi and everything goes on like a drama. And then how this person remains sama or equipoised in the same worldly gains or losses? He says because he has the same vision, samaloshtashtma kanchana. In all the sand, stone and gold, he has the same vision. He sees the oneness, the unity of everything, in likes, dislikes, and remains. That's why he remains calm and is steady in respect, disrespect everywhere. Even in the mitra, friends, foes, in all the desires, everywhere he remains composed in respect and disrespect. That is a person who is a gunatita person. And how can I achieve this? Bhagavan answers, he says this can only be achieved by devotion, by one-point devotion. That is the only way we can cross these gunas and become eligible to be a Brahma Swarupa. And how bhakti makes us eligible for this Brahma Swarupa? Bhagavan says that I am the Brahmano hi pratishtaham. I am the manifest Brahma. That itself, that is the jnana, that I am nothing but I am not this body, I am this Atma Swarupa, I am not this Sakshi Atma or Pratyagatma, but I am the eternal Brahma Swarupa, Brahma. I am Brahma. That is the final knowledge. That makes me immortal. That Brahma Tattva is unchanging. It is Adhyaya. It is indestructible, where everything around it goes on destroying. It is Shashwata Dharma. It is ever-present Dharma. And it is the ever-bliss form, the Ananda Swarupa. And this is how starting from Saguna, when we have to go to the Nirguna, Upasana, Brahma, and from understanding that I am Aham, is not this Jeeva, but I am this Shuddha Atma Swarupa, and then understanding that I am the Brahma Swarupa, starting with Bhakti, and then finally going to the understanding, the knowledge, the Jnana, that makes us eligible to reach the highest divinity, and that is what Bhagavan Shree Krishna is talking about in Bhagavad Gita. Come to the end of the session, Adhyaya 14th. Om Tat Sata Iti Shrimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shree Krishna Arjuna Samvade Gunatraya Vibhaga Yogo Nama Chaturdashodhyaya. With this we come to the end of this session. I pay my gratitude to the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. I pray to this Guru Shishya Parampara through which this knowledge is preserved. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Puja Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parah Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.